wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, roll like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milam. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Northern Eagle Distributing, proudly serving Anheuser-Busch products to West Virginia. On September 2nd, for the WVU versus Penn State football game, the WolfMan's Call is going to be going live for a pregame at the Pallet Bar in Scott Depot, West Virginia. There'll be 3 ways to watch this. One in person at the Pallet Bar starting at 5 o'clock, and the broadcast will go at 6. Or you can watch it from the WolfMan's Call Network at one of the fine establishments. Or also you can watch it at the Voice of College Football. That's West Virginia's Voice of College Football. If your favorite place, doesn't have it and you want to watch it, tell that proprietor. Go ahead and sign up to the WolfMan's Call Network at wolfmanscall@gmail.com. Again, that's wolfmanscall@gmail.com or at West Virginia VOCFB. You're not going to want to miss the action, and it's all coming to you from the WolfMan's Call. Phil Breakdown, baby. September 2nd, starting at 6 o'clock. Get signed up. Boom! Oh, yeah. What was it? Was that a little bit of Penn State running right there? Oh, my gosh. It's getting fewer and fewer days to the opener in Happy Valley. The 2023 football season is just about upon us, and I am excited, concerned, but always happy when I can smell the beginning of football. You can smell it, right? It's in the air. It's that summer ready to kind of go to fall. Oh, if you're a football person, I don't care what type of person you are, but if you like football, man, it starts to get your blood boiling just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? All right, we got a big shout out. Timothy Green, what's up, man? How you doing? Yeah, looking forward to today's show. Yep, I'll tell you what, some are and some are not. And I'll say here, Wolfman Kelly McCord from Webster Springs, West Virginia. Kelly got out of Ruby. He's been there for a couple of weeks. He's back at home. So happy for you, brother. And keep trucking. Keep staying healthy, man. Stay tough, brother. I know you are. Warrior all the time. And let's talk about today. We got some big things happening. A lot going down. I hope your weekend was cool, man. Once again, I got myself a little bit of, some tic-tac back and forth, things on social media. Well, that's kind of what we do here. So we always tell the truth because it's always part of the truth. So with that being said, let's talk now about, real quick, before we get started, I got to get to these guys, but let's talk about the WolfMan's Call Network. Let's talk about the special coming on up there just for the Penn State game. Because we are really happy to announce that we have a brand new sponsorship, and that, of course, is the Mark Plant's Law Offices. Plant's Law Office, former fullback, Mountaineer, Mark plants his law offices in South Charleston, West Virginia, and one of his partners is another law dog, Kevin Davis. They're going to do the Friday breakdown. All right, it's going to be the first defense, baby. Friday's breakdown of WVU opponents. The film breakdown. We're going to come out Friday. So the WolfMan's Call show is Monday through Thursday on the network and on the Voice of College Football West Virginia, on Twitter, on Facebook. It's all places you can watch it so easily. All right. And then on Fridays, we're going to have another day, and it's just going to be all pure WVU opponents film breakdown. You can't get it anywhere else, and you certainly can't get it with someone that knows what they're doing on that. Unless, of course, I brought on these panelists right here, which I'm going to do right now, and appearing for the first time on the WolfMan's Call is Gary, Doc, Basil. Don't let the dog screw you up. What's up, Doc? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Wolf? Glad to be on.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I hope you survived the weekend and got back in safe order. I know you had to take a nap as soon as you got home.
I did. You know, I'm old. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, real quick, tell us, man, what's your deal now? You graduated 87, I believe, in football. You were a tight end for us, man. What years were you?
That is right. I came in 83, and then my last year playing was 87. Came in as a tailback. They said I wasn't fast enough, moved to fullback. And then my last 3 years, I moved to tight end.
Oh, right. Well,
and so I'm back in my hometown in Virginia, Vienna. I do quality assurance for Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that's about it.
Well, I'm sorry. I almost cut you off from getting your plug in. I apologize.
No worries.
Won't let that happen again. And who's next in line? I see a USA Strength and Conditioning Hall of Famer. What's up, Alan Johnson?
What's up, Wolf? Doc, how you feeling?
I'm feeling well. How are you,
Good.
Al?
Doing awesome, man. Great to see you. Guys, many moons.
That it has been.
And moving on down, and we love having you here, Coach. And although you've been on a few times, so I've been spending quite as much time with you. We have Frank Fear and the Frank Fear Hour. What's up, Mr. Fear?
Hey, Wolf, good to see you. Hey, there's so much happening. Can't keep up with it. Just keep going.
There's no doubt about it. And as I keep going down the line, we got WVU Hoops Hall of Famer, Darryl Prue. What's up, DP?
What's going on, Doc? What's going on, Boom? Al? What's up, Frank?
What's up, DP? Frank?
Well, I'm going to take it you're referring to me when you said boom. So I'll take that. But I'm going to say this. One question. Hey, how's your sink? Did it overflow?
Yeah, man. We gotta do some work downstairs in the basement. We got some stoppage in there. I got a story about Doc.
Well, wait a minute. Let me get Hawkeye out here. And
we got one more.
And last but certainly least, all right, I have Hawkins. Hawkeye. What's up, Hawkeye?
What's up, guys?
What's up, Hawkeye?
What's up, Hawkeye?
Good to see you, everybody.
Every time I see you, I feel like I want to rub your belly right there, man. Going, hey, rub it.
Whoa.
Right on, man. Hey, I got a bigger one. It's all right. No doubt about it. So listen, here we go. All right. So you got a story about Doc. Let's go ahead. We'll start off with the stories, DP.
So us DC, Maryland, Virginia guys stick together. So my first year, when I come, Doc had this car. It was a stick shift. And one day I asked him, could I drive it? He said, yes. He said, you know how to drive a stick shift? I said, yeah. I didn't know how to drive a stick shift. I watched my mother drive it. I never drove a stick shift in my life. I was doing about 51st year, going towards the towers, coming from the Calacino. I was stuck in the gear. I couldn't get it out at first. But I was doing about 50. I'm surprised the clutch ain't fall on the floor. On the ground when I was driving down the street. I'm glad it did.
Unfortunately, you're not the only one that borrowed my car that told me they could drive a stick that couldn't.
I know how to drive one now.
Well, there you go.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful, man. And starting out, we got some topics today, so I'm just gonna have to dive right in to it. Did y'all have a good weekend? I hope you did. And I got to see Z Girl Hawkeye. She's at the state fair. It looked like, huh?
No. Oh, no. We were here in South Charleston for Summerfest.
Oh, Summerfest. Well,
Yeah.
it looked like it was a good time. I got you. All right. Anyways, gentlemen, it looks like Garrett Green has just been named to be the starting quarterback. It's not been officially announced, but it looks like everybody's saying that's the way the decision has been made. And they said that it looked like it was a clear decision. Let's go. Doc, you're the guest here for first timer, man. What's your viewpoint? You saw the practice on Friday. What's your viewpoint?
I did. We were at the scrimmage on Saturday, and it seemed like the offense couldn't really move the ball that well, especially passing. And I'm concerned. I know, like, from the past couple of years, Garrett has been seemingly more of a gadget guy, just kind of just running and coming in there, just basically run the ball. So, hopefully, maybe they didn't show as much in the scrimmage, but hopefully his passing has become better and he can be more of a dual threat, where he can, give handoffs and run and then be able to pass with accuracy.
Well, I've always said you're not going to beat him with his passing game, that's for sure. Hawkeye, your shot. Go ahead.
Well, we're just going to have to get behind Garrett and support him. I don't know if he's the answer. I don't know, Dale. I'm just going to support the guy. I'll just say that for now.
Good. All right. Hey, you know what? That's what we want to hear, though. We want to support because that's the decision. Hey, he's got to he's either got to make it or he's not. That's just the bottom line. Al Johnson, your reaction to that?
I think it's great. I think, hey, what do you got? 2 weeks before the first game. I mean, you got to anoint someone, and who better than somebody's got a little bit of experience? And hey, it eventually could become a two-headed monster. Or hey, if he gets beat out, Nico's right there waiting in the back, waiting to step up.
No, like a big dude waiting on. Just waiting for him to screw up. Oh, I'm gonna jump on you. All right, DP, you know what it's like, man. To go ahead and go to competition. You win the job. What's it like for Garrett right now?
I mean, if he won the competition, I'm all for it. But if he's not the better quarterback, I just think Nico come out of high school. He a 4-star, and if we're not developing him, we're not gonna get another 4-star quarterback. That's going to be the recruiting pitch for everybody in the Big 12. They had a 4-star guy, they ain't want him. You know what I mean? And you gotta leave. You got to look at the bigger picture. So just a little.
Somebody just wrote out the playbook a little bit there. We're going to wait for that one. Go right to Frank Fear. All right, Frank, you've heard me talk so much, probably too much on this. And DP just gave his, I love it. Al gave his, I love that. And obviously, well, first of all, we're going to go easy on Doc his first time here on the show. Ease him into it. But Hawkeye, man, that was no answer. By the way, that was I'm going to support it.
I'm taking the high road right now, Dale. I'm taking the high road.
All right, Frank, go ahead, brother.
Well, is it a surprise to anyone? We've talked about that, but it's not a surprise. The betting line I still think is we'll see more and more of Nico, but you want the team to win. So obviously, going into Penn State, that is a heck of an environment, as we've been talking about, and we'll just see how he does. Keep our fingers crossed.
Hey, Keith, Mike Rouse is saying he's right with you, man.
That's right.
He's got a big positive, and he's gonna go for it. I got Kelly McCord. He's saying Nico is the answer, in my opinion. All right, Kelly, you're not coming off too cocky with that. Anytime you put that in my opinion, it sounds good there. All right, so listen, bottom line is we're all going to find out exactly how this is going to go down. And only time will tell. And I'll tell you what, I don't envy either one of them walking into Penn State as a starter. So to be quite honest with you, what they have, what they've shown, I don't want to, I know Doc watched the practice on Friday. I know what's going on the practice field. They got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to say this. I like the fact that if you got a guy that you want to anoint and you feel good with it, go with it, because you need every single darn rep right now from now until 7:30 Saturday, September 2nd, you need every single rep. That quarterback should be taking every rep with the ones. Okay, except for a couple times if you're planning on moving Nico in. Neil Brown, remember, Neil Brown has always liked to bring his number 2 quarterback in on the third series of a game. Always, always. Usually when he could afford to. When he could afford to. Okay, let me clarify that. But so you never know what the plans are with Nico with that. But I'll tell you this right now. Let Garrett, if Garrett's the guy, make him the guy and rep every single one so he's ready for Penn State. All right, moving on. Very good opener. Good job. Everyone got an A+ except for Hawkeye. All right, Hawkeye got a warm C+ on his answer. A warm, and I'm just giving it for an opening, all right? Good job. So let's go to this. Boy, I tell you, this is serious now. WVU budget cuts. It's happening, and it's not pleasant, and let's get it started. Right here, you see the students out here protesting. I got to go to my history man. I got to go to my dude that knows everything. That's Frank Fear, man. Frank, what's going on?
Well, we've been talking, Wolf, is that I don't know how much press this is getting in West Virginia, but it has gotten considerable attention across the country. I've not seen in my entire career the spotlight on Morgantown the way it is right now. People are very concerned, not just that there are cuts, because we're talking about a shortfall that looks to be in the future at $45, $50 million, but what they're cutting. The entire world language unit and faculty units and faculty members are being cut, as well as other units. And so the students are very concerned. The parents are very concerned. I had an exchange with a number of alums and parents over the weekend. And, this is really scary stuff. I think, and I've said this before, West Virginia's national standing as a state flagship university is on the line here. These cuts can't be taken lightly.
No, they can't be. All right. Hey, Doc, this is your school, man. You've been there. You got a degree from the school. They're talking about cutting out all world languages. I mean, like I said, I had to go 2 years of failure with Spanish before I passed with Talk, Gates, and German. Okay, so I had two Fs in Spanish 1 and 2. I mean, if I didn't have to take the language, I'd been at like a 3.5 GPA.
Well, I'm right there with you because I had to take French. I met a girl in high school that spoke French, and I thought I was going to be gay Paris. And so it was a struggle, me getting through French. But, it's always disappointing when you have to have some budget cuts that, are going to affect the university and obviously the students coming in and, their ability to have higher education as far as, any aspect of it. But, I don't really know what the answer is. I mean, I don't know where you're going to get money to make sure that these programs can still stay afloat.
Okay. Well, speaking of not knowing, let's go to Hawkeye. What's your opinion?
Oh, man.
Come on now.
It's tough.
First of all, we all love a good protest, or whatever you want to call this. Everybody likes a good protest. But guys, when you restructure, it always usually starts at the top. And we talked about this last week. You've got some really hefty salaries sitting at the top, and that's where they should really start looking first. I just read something about a woman that he appointed some kind of as an assistant dean, that she wasn't qualified. It's a bad situation, but when you restructure, you usually start at the top, cut out those big salaries. And the state's not going to bail them out this time. I read that this morning and yesterday. The state's not going to help them.
All right. So, Al, is it fair to say, do we call these cuts the Gee cuts? I mean, is this Gordon Gee, the president? Is this just fall upon him? Or do you think this is a collective? Because they haven't really reported. If you really know the story behind this, is there wasn't a whole ton of transparency in this whole process. But I say there's not very little transparency. What do you think, Al?
My question is this: these are severe cuts you're making. where I mean, it's not like yesterday they found out about it. I mean, has these cuts been in the process over a gradual period of time? Yeah, that's the one thing. The second thing that I hate about this whole thing is that look at the national perception. You know, first of all, West Virginia fights that stigma nationally constantly, and then now you're throwing gasoline on the fire with all these severe cuts at this point. I mean, now, what is it? After the late night talk show hosts are probably having a feast with this.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm having a feast with this right now. D. Let's go with you, big guy. What do you think about this?
Well, and like we talked about it before, it goes back to the sports. You know what I mean? Like if you paying all this money to these coaches and not winning, you get these new staff in. You got a guy who left West Virginia. You paying him $130,000, but you gonna get rid of a teacher? You know what I mean? Like I'm all for sports and stuff like that, but you get rid of people that's learning, that has to learn, and you get rid of a teacher because of this kind of budget. But you bring in certain basketball coaches that never coached before, and then we got all this money for everything else, but we don't have money for faculty. I mean that's a big. I love my sports. Don't get me wrong, but it's hard when people lose their job.
Yeah. Well, hey, Frank, you have a history with, recruiting West Virginia people for Bobby Bowden for academics. Okay, when you cut a program like this, and I'm from TCU and I'm Sonny Dykes, right? And I'm going, whoa, hey, you want to go to West Virginia? I'm recruiting against you, or I'm sitting in Cincinnati. They don't even have world language for you to go do because that used to be a prerequisite. Well, what does that do to not only that student, maybe to his parents?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, Al nailed it, that it just, what it does is it puts gasoline on the fire. Everything is competitive. We know that. And so what you want to do, you want to get in the newspapers for positive stories. You want to stay out of the newspapers and the media and online for the negative stories. Well, we've had, you and I have talked about this, Wolf. Now there's been a string of bad news coming out of Morgantown. Mm-hmm. And what it does is people don't want to be connected with bad news. So is it going to hurt recruiting? It certainly can't help. So you're spot on.
Well, not only that, it's going to, again, be another reduction, a double dip, if you will, in, bringing an enrollment in. Because go ahead, expound upon that for me, Frank, real quick.
In terms of?
A double dip in lack of enrollment.
Well, that's one of the, there are a lot of things that are happening nationally. I'm seeing in my own family where high school graduates who automatically would have gone to college are now pursuing other things, including the military, and going into the trades and going into business rather than going to college. So there are all kinds of things going on out there with respect to the national scene. But there are specifics going on in West Virginia that you can't turn your head away. And one of the things that has been documented by a number of independent sources is that West Virginia had a growth strategy. It wasn't too many years ago, West Virginia had 30,000 students, and the eyes were on, let's build toward 40. Well, then COVID started. We got the COVID pandemic. We're now at, I think, under 19,000 total students, and the university's own projection is possibly 15,000 students before we get too far into the next decade. And so all these things are connected. And what we need, Wolf, we face this in everyday life with our own reputation. We need some good vibes. We don't need to pile on with this negativity. It's hurtful.
It is hurtful, but that really just transfers into what I'm going to talk to you about real quick. We're not going to spend too much time about it, but I'm going to say this, all right? What I read over the weekend, I don't know how many people saw this, but there is a potential recruiting for WVU. And someone did, I'm not going to mention who it was because they usually do decent work, but they said that there were 8 analysts, national analysts, that said the Big 12, they ranked them 1 through 14 in that order of recruiting potential. First off, what is recruiting potential? You know what I'm saying? I mean, is every coach the same? So that's going to be different. I mean, what are your variables? What are your formulas All right, and again, this is usually a decent thing, but what I'm saying of an organization. Now, when you sit there and you say there's facts behind something, and but not perception, based on your perception. Now, what do you think is the potential? And one of them, they had it, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna get into it too much. They had TCU number one. They had Utah number two out of all the rest of the Big 12 schools. Out of Houston, out of the big city schools, at Oklahoma States, they had the recruiting potential of Utah, not BYU, not even with that they're widespread around the world. Okay, but the potential of Utah. To me was the biggest crock. But people are believing this. And it's really easy, and I'm going to go right to you, Darryl Prue, on this. It's really easy to go ahead and crap on WVU right now. Crap on them because, just like Frank said, bad news. You hear the budget cuts, all this, all tied together. Well, then all of a sudden the media picks West Virginia 14th. All of a sudden they pick Neil Brown as the 14th worst coach in the Big 12. And now all of a sudden we got the 14th worst quarterback in the Big 12. All right, but they're based it off of that. So now we have the 14th worst recruiting potential when it's only based upon someone's perception of what they thought, and they presented like there's a scientific data poll behind. Fake news, to be short.
Well, somebody's controlling the narrative, and that's like we can't figure out who, because nobody's going to tell. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to live in Utah or you want to live in West Virginia? You know what I mean? Like, I've been to Utah once. It was just in the airplane. You know what I mean? I don't hear too many people saying they're going to, do anything in Utah, but they do have some pro sports there. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if, like you said, this is like someone's opinion. You know what I mean? It's that person's opinion, and they've never been to West Virginia. They don't know. So it's all this stuff, like you said, it's piling on. It's become a trickle effect. And like right now, with all this other stuff, we just in the mud and can't get out of it. It's like quicksand. You know what I mean? We just keep going and going and going. We're in the same spot.
Well, that's the truth. And Al, I mean, it's like this, man. It's so easy right now to kick West Virginia when it's down. And I remember we had a fan base here that was rabid. They're like, you kick West Virginia, man, they're coming right back at you 5 times harder. And I just don't see it.
Well, hey, Wolf, the other thing too, think about this, we've had turmoil in our men's basketball and obviously with football now going into the 5th year. I mean, just think about how different the narrative is if we're winning, if you're winning, and if you can, like, I'm not conceding defeat to Penn State, but I'm saying you go in there and you represent and you show the nation and national TV that, hey, you know what, we're better than ranked 14th in the country. Things like that help improve the narrative and the perception, like, hey, these guys are pretty good. And then, of course, a win cures a lot of ills, as we all know. We all been down that path where, where we get bludgeoned and we get beat up, and your perception of yourself, your program, your university, everything else kind of reaches a standstill. But I think you still got to be winning cures a lot of ills, and I think it'll help also the university, the school itself, along with obviously the football program.
There's no doubt. So, Doc, let's talk about this, man. Like, you got to keep fighting, right? I mean, Don Nealon didn't teach you how to lay down and stay down, right? I mean, so when I think of this, and I'm looking because it's the people just seem to be so, you got your few fighters, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about the majority, is they're just accepting it now. They're just accepting, like, that's not true of West Virginia in its past.
Well, I think it's easy for someone to write a negative narrative and then people just to pile on. I think that's the easy route. But, it takes someone to kind of come out and speak on the benefits and the tradition of West Virginia. And, that, like you said, we've always been fighters. I mean, we were discussing over this weekend of how, at least back in our day, most of the guys that were coming in weren't necessarily the highest recruits to some of the quote unquote blue bloods of college football, but we all fought, and we scrapped. And even though some of the other schools had, Hall of Famers and, 5-star guys, we competed. And, you had to come with everything you had when you played us, because you knew you were in for a fight.
Oh, there we go again, baby. A fight, blue collar. And I've been saving this for you, Hawkeye, because I know this is right up your alley, baby. They got us. They're dogging us, Keith. They're dogging us. All your life, you're a West Virginia Mountaineer. You are one of the toughest dudes I know. Astute in all your ways, man. Really, as a Mountaineer fan. What does that tell you, man? Right there, when people are accepting things, it's not a reality. It was a perception poll, but you know what? They're saying, hey, this and that. And it's not true, but there's no fight.
Well, Dale, I think Mountaineer Nation, we're tired. Basketball, we get built up for it, we fall short. We're supposed to have had some really good teams. Football, we build up and we fall on our face. The fan base is tired, and winning is the only thing that's going to get Mountaineer Nation back behind WVU. They're going to have to start winning. As far as the national, how people look at us nationally, we've always been the doormats. We're last in everything. But it's kind of like E.F. Hutton. When he speaks, everybody listens. All these people that write these things and these perceptions and these polls, I mean, you can't put nothing into it.
Yeah.
Make a poll at the end of the season. That's when it counts.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm really surprised about is when I saw this, and it's clickbait. All it is clickbait is what I'm trying to get at.
It's to piss people off.
That's what it is. But you know what? They start believing it. How about a recruit? Well, if you're always associated, and I just went down 4 lists. Worst coach in the Big 12, finished last in the Big 12, worst quarterbacks in the Big 12, and now your recruiting potential is Big 12. If I'm a recruit and I don't know West Virginia, what am I thinking of West Virginia right now? Frank, answer it.
Yeah, that's we've been talking about there's so much dodgy social media out there that, I was thinking the other day, boy, yeah, you want to be a doer, but you better also be a thinker. You got to read this stuff with a grain of salt. And, hey, Keith got into the fray the other day. Dave Ryan from Fairmont got into it. I did too. And basically called this guy out for the quote unquote study he did, which you could go to a local bar and go to a table and get the same results. And you're right. What's potential recruiting? But I've said this before, I'll say it again. Anytime there's a ranking based on perception, it's not based on fact, look the other way. And that's what it was. It was a ranking based on perception. Believability factor, low.
And check this out, right? So I'm going to say, hey, Frank, what do you think? Hey, Doc, what do you think? Hey, Prue, what do you think? Hawkeye, Alan, right? I got it. Okay, so I get my results. Hey, here's the results, but I don't tell you what my formula is. I just said, these are the results for Big 12. That's what I just did. Here's the accept it.
Yeah.
Accept it.
It has an impact.
Man, that's what it is. Listen, if you said, hey, I did a poll on the Fabulous 5 panel, okay, and they came up with, these are their rankings, I could say, that's their opinion. Okay, fine. But they present it as, we had 8 national analysts come up and study this and do this, and this is what the results are. It's phony. It's fake. I don't like it. And
I just looked this up right now.
Okay.
How many people looked? How many views were there of this tweet we're talking about?
Right.
254,000.
There you go.
Right now, 254. It's scary.
But that's the problem nowadays with the social media, because everybody has an opinion. You know what I mean? Like people who never played the sport don't know what the sport is, don't know what's going on. All they look at is numbers. You know what I mean? Like, so you look at all these numbers, like I just talked about the 4-star quarterback. So if I haven't seen the quarterbacks compete, how can I judge one or the other? You know what I mean? Like, like at the end of the day, I could talk about it as a recruiter against West Virginia, But as a guy who's watching the sport, I don't know who's playing better. And the 4-star quarterback can be throwing all interceptions in practices. I don't know that. These guys don't know that. They're gonna have their opinions because everybody has them. They all do. Everybody want to sound right, so they make up information to sound like they know, and they don't know. None of them been in the weight room with Al Johnson. No one had to get blocked by Dale Wolfley. Nobody had to, had to guard Gary on an out route, face Major Harris. None of them have to do all that stuff. So, it's a lot. It's a lot of people who have never played before, just listening to other people, and having their own personal biases and writing all this stuff.
Yeah. Right. Hey, Darryl, you bring a great point because think about polls. Think about this. Whose opinion really matters, to be honest with you? Do the writers, do their opinion really matter? They don't know.
Right.
They're just they're projecting off of last year or what they read somewhere else. Right. Then you got the coaches poll. I don't believe that one either because, hey, if I'm ranked 18th this week, I'm voting for my team to be 15th. So now there's no credence or respect or no validation with that.
That's not true, Al. If I'm the coach, I'm voting for number one every single time. I don't care. They can't.
There's no question, and you should be. You should be voting for your team. But hey, the thing is, the game is still played on the court and on the field. You know what? Hey, take the paper, rip it up. Hey, if I'm Neil Brown, I'm standing in front of the team some point now in the next 2 weeks, and if he hasn't already, I'd hold up the polls and I'd take it. I'd get a trash can. I'd set it on fire. That's exactly what these polls mean. Nothing.
Yeah. So this guy, WVU Mountaineer with Kenny, he said at Dale, I want to ask the panel, how can a QB that has never taken a snap be ahead of Garrett Green? So I go back to Major Harris. I go back to Major Harris and Brownie Nagel.
No, but
Brownie Nagel, that was like they picked Major Harris and Brownie went into the NFL. You know what I mean? Like it's we're not there for that team. We don't know. And just like Mike Rowland said, you just got to go out there and play.
All right. I will say this. Listen, everybody wants to, going back to this, I don't mean to go back to, but going back and make this really quick. DP is right. When you have a 4-star, how many 4-star quarterbacks does WVU get? Well, Greer was one. That was from Florida. And then you have to go back to Gino, right? Go back to Gino. All right, so Gino. But before that, how many? How many was there? Okay, Western does not have them, okay? No, you can't start a 4-star over a Garrett Green if he's not ready. No, you can't. We don't want that. But if they're close and neck and neck, which they apparently have been until now, then you sit there and say, well, for the long term, I'm going to say what I'm going to do. Now, is Garrett Green a quarterback that can win you 8 games? That's the question. Does that quarterback be a guy that you think, Hawkeye, that can win you the games you need to survive as a coach? Answer that.
Well, right now that would be a perception, Dale. We are assuming.
Well, this whole show's a perception, but we're saying it's a perception. All right, we're not coming out to you saying these are facts.
All right, all right, you want facts. We know that Garrett Green has got more starts than Nico. Now, I haven't seen Nico practice. I haven't seen Garrett practice. I think that Nico gives us a better shot at winning week to week than Garrett Green. Just for the simple fact, Nico is the prototypical drop back passer. Pass first, run second. Garrett Green, I think, is going to have happy feet, and he's going to get one read, and he's going to run. And we are going to be in trouble all year long. That's the facts.
Best thing you've said on this show so far. All right. It made a lot of sense. But that is your perception, and we all agree with that. And that's okay. And it's okay. We're behind Garrett Green, but we're saying is if you're going to compare this, when you're comparing this right here, it's not you're trying to start a 4-star over a guy who's not. It's the fact is if they're both. If I got Nico as a freshman, a true freshman or a redshirt freshman, first timer though, and I have Garrett Green who's been in the program, this is 4th year, and they're pretty close. There's not a whole lot of leash going on Garrett Green right now. All right, doesn't have a ton of Say that much, especially when you're there looking to fight for your job. All right.
Hey, Wolf, let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
How broad do you think the playbook? How deep into the playbook do you think they're going to go with Garrett? With him trying to spread the field.
You know what? We're gonna have to wait and see what they say because I don't know.
Perception. It's all about perception here.
Why I don't, but I still don't know. That's my perception.
Well, the people that make these polls don't know either, but they percept.
I got your blood going today, brother. Excellent. I love it. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move to this, and this is a little bit different here. So try to follow me a little bit on this one, right here. I know that Doc, I brought you on here, brother, because I thought this is an excellent opportunity. Let's go ahead and blow this up here now, and show this. Okay, here's your group. You had this group here this weekend. You see Coach Neyland there. I see a lot of great Mountaineer players, former Mountaineer players. A lot of great guys there. I even see Rashid back there, who was probably your tour guide or whatever for the tour. Because I don't think he's in your class. He's way too good looking and way too much younger.
Way too young, yeah.
For you guys. All right, so let's talk about this. You came in town. Tell us about it. Give us a story.
So my high school class reunion is coming up this year. It'll be 40 years. And I got the thought that, I want to do some sort of reunion with my former players. So instead of doing like the graduation class, I did the class when we all came in '83. So, we just kind of exchanged information on email and try to pick a date out to when it was thought was going to be good. And we settled on last weekend. And, we had a good turnout. I think there was like 10 or 15 of us. A few people couldn't make it for various reasons. But, we had a great weekend. We were at Kegler's Friday night, chopping it up. And then on Saturday, we took a tour of the facilities building, the stadium, which some of us had taken it, but some of us hadn't. So that was exciting for some of the guys. And then we had like a little happy hour over at the Erickson Center. I was trying to kind of incorporate, everything that is, available in Morgantown. So we did that. And then obviously the scrimmage was the culmination Saturday night. And then obviously we had a lot of eating adventures during the week. I was telling somebody, I think I ate 20 times in in 3 days. But we had a great time, enjoying our and reliving stories and past experiences in Morgantown. And it was just a great weekend.
Excellent. Okay. So,
hey Doc, hey Wolf, hey Doc, identify some of those guys. Give us a laundry list.
Okay, so if you're looking at Coach Neyland, to his left is Wes Turner. To his right is Pat Randolph. To Pat's right is Benny Curitan. To Benny's right is Fred Boom Smalls. Then behind West was Quincy Wilson, who jumped in our picture. Then next to him was me. And then next to me is Larry Holly. And next to Larry Holly is Travis Curtis. And then the back row on the far is Dave Grant. Next to him is John Hollifield. Next to Hollifield is Harvey Smith, and then Rasheed Marshall.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, I knew this, by the way, Al, because I'm Mr. Alumni guy, even though I'm 1 year removed. 1 year removed from it. But again, this is important to me. Doc actually did this. He made all the arrangements. And what this is what got me sitting here. And I'm going to go a little negative here, but remember, I was the alumni guy for 12 years. Maybe you'll understand my point of view and my perception, Hawkeye. Okay, because with this being said, okay, I go ahead and I see they're in the first row at the scrimmage right now. They're in the first row. Are you not that?
We are.
Okay, all right. You have 13 dudes, a couple good-looking ones, but mainly some older dudes, man, that are big dudes. Obviously football players, right? So I go ahead and I hit the fast forward button here, and there's Joe Mazzulla. Wow, am I a Joe Mazzulla fan? Boy, do I love Joe Mazzulla. Right out there, man. He was here last week. I'll tell you what, I was inspired. I'm inspired by his entire story. I know Joe personally, and I think he's a fantastic person. I love his family, everybody. Excellent. Great talk out there for the team. All right, I'm going to keep on moving on down. Oh, Charles Wesley Godwin. Now, I know there's only about 40% of that team that know who Charles Wesley Godwin is, but I know he's a professional. And a good thing, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's great. I love it. He's out here talking to the team. And then I come back to this right here. Oh, I see some dudes. I see David Grant, who was in the Joe Montana Super Bowl. Joe Montana Super Bowl. He did lose as a Bengal. I'm sorry, David, but I'll tell you what, he was one of the best nose guards ever played against in my entire life. There's Johnny Hollifield right there, a Cincinnati Bengal. Walk on and turn into an NFL, and I can say the same thing about a bunch of these guys, whether they played in the NFL or they were top-notch players. Pat Randolph, 88 or 84 Penn State game, touchdown, first time in 29 years. I go, boom, beats Doug Flutie, shuts Doug Flutie down almost by himself. Just kidding, he wasn't by himself. But you know what I'm saying? There are big sacks going on. Larry Holly, Penn State
interception. Yep.
I mean, I could go down and show Quincy Wilson, love him, man. I could look at all these guys, Now, and I just told you about these other guys I love, and they're beautiful. They knew you were coming. They saw you there, all the gang, but no one said hello to you except for Ren Baker, the athletic director, came and talked to you, which is good. Nice guy, Ren Baker. Now, here's my pet peeve. I'm not saying these guys are bad dudes. All right? I'm not saying. But what I'm saying is I worked 12 years to build up the whole good feeling about alumni coming back to W. We were never invited before that. Trust me. I know that. And we did all that. And it wasn't just me. It was everybody involved. It was everybody getting involved. But they asked Don Nealon, Hall of Fame coach. But you better make sure Charles Wesley Godwin is out there because those guys, he's speaking there. But not these guys. Do you understand my point? And I'm going to go right to you, Al Johnson. I'm going to put you right on the hot pad because you got to leave here in a few minutes anyways. But what is that?
You're going to get me fired up. I don't want to get fired up. I mean, how hard is it? How hard is it for not only Ren Baker, but any member of that coaching staff to acknowledge these players and this Hall of Fame coach? I mean, it's not really tough. We're not building a nuclear warhead to try to aim it at North Korea here. I mean, but it's all about relationships, and it's about being appreciative of what came before you to give you the opportunity for these facilities and what you have. I mean, that's crazy. That's insane. So, so Wolf, let me just ask you this. Let me put you on the spot.
No, that's Doc. He was there.
Hey, Doc. So, so no member other than Rashid. There's no member of the coaching staff that came up to say, wave to you, or come over to you, shake hands, nothing.
No, like Wolf said, Ren Baker came to us, but no, that was it. We didn't see anyone else from the coaching staff.
I mean, so is there anybody left in the old guard that would know you guys, Doc? That would know you guys?
Danny Nealon. He's the only one, in the equipment staff. But
Al,
still the head coach. Hey, Don Nealon's sitting there, right? I mean,
come on. Yeah. He made arrangements, and he had to actually. They got shut down to begin with, so they weren't allowed to watch the scrimmage because the donors are going to be there. 1891, which I used to run, which I ran at the Century Club for 7 years before. This gets me hot. All right.
Wait a minute. They weren't going to allow you in the stadium, but they allowed donors.
Yeah, I mean,
that's bootleg. That's real bootleg right there.
Yeah, I don't want to be, so negative, but initially.
Well, no, I'm not saying be negative, but I mean, hey.
So initially,
it's the truth. Truth is not negative.
So initially, in order to obviously to set up the tour of the facilities building in the stadium, I was in contact with one of the members of the varsity club. And then he had informed me about the scrimmage because we didn't know about the scrimmage initially, but he had informed us, and we were like, "Oh, this is great! An opportunity to kind of see the team and be there amidst the the players." And so then he informed me that we couldn't come, and so I was like, "What do you mean? I mean, because he mentioned something about it wasn't available to the public." And I said, I don't really consider us the public, but, and so anyway, make a long story short, some of our our members of this group kind of reached up to the higher ups of the university in order for us to be able to get passes to participate and be at the scrimmage. So it luckily it worked out, because it really would have been a bad taste in our mouth, and kind of, I don't want to say ruined, because obviously we had a good time, but it definitely would have put a mark on our weekend, that here we are to celebrate the time that we're here, and we can't even come to a scrimmage because the university doesn't want us, or the team doesn't want us. So it's it definitely, I know from talking to some of the guys, I mean, it's kind of like Wolf said earlier, we don't feel as connected with the program as we'd like to be. It's kind of which is sad.
The only reason I came back to the basketball stuff was because of Dale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, like I was coaching at Georgetown, so we played against West Virginia in the Big East tournament, and then when I left, if it wasn't for Larry Harrison, I wouldn't and Dale, I wouldn't have got into anything. Like we used to have the basketball reunion, then the basketball players that's there, we sit in the top row. I'm like, I can't see the game, so I used to just walk around. You know what I mean? I wouldn't sit up there and talk to different people that remember me and sat with them. You know what I mean? So it was.
Oh, hey, Prue, sorry, but I put you in that top row myself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But the game was crowded, so I get it. In a way, I get it. But it's nobody else in that game with y'all. Look at that. Look at the stands. There's nobody there. You know what I mean? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even with this Hall of Fame thing, and and now we got my picture on the wall. Like, some people, like, I walk, security like, oh, you just walking everywhere. I said, yeah, I should. I said, because I spent 4 years running around this place, helping them getting all the stuff you get. Because remember when, Gary, you might remember this. So when I first started at West Virginia, the only way the people in this area could see a basketball game is it was a PBS channel. If you're watching this game right now, if you want to continue to watch Darryl Prue, you can donate $20.
Donate, right? Exactly.
You remember that? So so that's how then it goes to Comcast and and Home Team Sports and Comcast, and it blows up. But nobody, everybody seemed to forget about all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like you got a lot of players from DC and New York after that, because I was a high profile guy coming into West Virginia, and because I was supposed to go to Georgetown and coming off and losing the national championship. So, but people forget all about that stuff. You know what I mean? But like then you bring a Chris Brooks in, then Chris brings PG Green and all those other guys in. Then Doc help bring in Major. Then Major makes it relevant to come. You know what I mean? So it's just like people forget about all that stuff, and then when we want to ask for jobs or get into something's open, we don't even get a call back.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, DP? I knew I'd get a good reaction out of you on this one. That's for sure. All right, Hawkeye, man. Well, what does that tell you right here? Again, am I overreacting on this? I don't want to go negative, but I tell you, it still pisses me off after spending 12 years in this. And Frank Fear knows how much I spent with the older guys. All right, I put a lot of time into just at basketball, and then you go ahead and I appreciate Ren Baker saying that to you. Let's give kudos to where kudos belong, and let's make sure you guys were in the scrimmage, even though you had to go this way and that way. Some of the times, the lower tier people, they just don't know any better. They're not trying to hurt nobody. They're just trying to stay out of trouble. So, okay, let's just go with something like that, and you go ahead and it gets over. You get in there, so that's a good thing. But bottom line is, fellas, not even Hey team, this is your brothers. These are your older brothers, man. These are the guys that the reason why people have the stadium here is not because it's just you guys. They're all of us through all the years, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, okay, the 80s, all these years of building up the program and maintaining what West Virginia's brand is today. Just give me a nod, Hawkeye. Give me a nod.
Yeah, so I got a question. So Kansas played West Virginia this year, right? If I want to come to a Kansas game, I can't get a ticket, and I call my guy at Kansas and get a ticket, and I had to sit over there, they're gonna be mad.
Right?
They're gonna be mad. Like if I call and ask for a ticket, we don't have no more. And I call my guy who's gonna play for Kansas this year, and I get a ticket. Like, what can you say? You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, what can you I knew they held up my Hall of Fame thing because I coached at Georgetown. Well, Beeline wouldn't hire me at West Virginia. He wanted to send me shirts. I don't want no shirts. I want a job. You know what I mean? Like, I first tried to get on with him. So, I just don't know.
I'll tell you this. All right, Hawkeye, I can see you ready to swoop in there before DP swooped you. So go ahead.
Well, all right. First of all, DP, get 2 tickets for that Kansas game because I'll sit with you on that. Don't bother me in the least.
I got you.
Well, go ahead, finish.
Dale. All right. Hey, Gary.
Yes.
I apologize. I apologize for the way you guys were treated because in that picture right there, that is the foundation of the modern era of Mountaineer football. You guys are the shoulders that everybody else stands on. You guys need to be treated with respect. You should have been down on the field talking to the team, letting these guys talk to actually guys that wore that helmet, that rep that WV. You have been in those wars. You guys need to be on the field. Look, I love Joe Mazzulla, and, he's probably the kind of guy that can tell you, hey, if you work hard, this is where you can get.
Right.
But you guys are football players, and you relate to football players. That's on that right there. To me, that's on Brown. That's on Neil. He's seen you guys there, and he knows Coach Neil. Yeah. He should have come over and said, "Hey, who are you? What's going on? Come on down on the field."
No, what Hawkeye? They knew who they were. They knew. They knew.
And that's even worse, Dale. It's even worse that they knew who they were and they disrespected.
That's what I'm saying, and that's my whole point.
I remember.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Hawkeye.
Yeah, I remember coming to a football game, and Dale saw me and gave me a pass to come to the field. You know what I mean? That's the stuff you do. If he saw somebody he knew that had history, and he gave me a pass, he made sure I wasn't with no kids, and said, "Come on down on the field." So I was just on the field. You know what I mean? I've been on the field. I haven't been on the field since.
They always took care of everybody.
Yeah, but they were alumni. It was, he took care of family. We all a family. Like Gary said, don't feel like family sitting over there. They should have been on the field.
Yeah. And I can understand. Obviously, it was a little bit different situation with Wolf because he played with us, so he obviously knew us. But I know that some of the younger guys who are affiliated with the varsity club. But I would think that once, like Dale said, once you know that we were former players, or we're alumni of the university, that should trump whether you know us or not. You should bring us in the fold because I know, like us as former players. I mean, I have friends from years ago that I never played with, and guys that came after. I mean, it's all just one continuous link.
Yeah.
What the problem is when Neil Brown gets old and Dana Heggelson gets old, they're not going to be coming back with guys. Oh, that's the problem. You know what I mean? They're not going to have that relationship with their coach like y'all had your relationship with y'all coach, and be allowed. To come
and what's that saying about the culture that we have there, guys? We're always talking about culture.
Yeah.
Gary, Dale, DP, Coach Al, you are the culture.
Right.
You're the culture. You guys are the culture, and you guys will teach the younger guys.
Well,
lead by example. Learn from the guys that have been there.
This has happened elsewhere, guys, and the story does not end good anywhere. And I'll give you one example. I was never affiliated with the University of Michigan, but I have great respect for John U. Bacon. You may know his name. He's been on ESPN. He's a nationally prominent author, and he focuses on the University of Michigan. He began to see, and this is Rich Rod as part of this, what was happening at the University of Michigan when Dave Brandon came in as athletic director. And obviously, the Schembechler groups laid the foundation for Michigan's success on the gridiron, modern success. And he saw the same thing happening. And he wrote a book called End Zone, The Rise, the Fall, and the Rise Again of Michigan Football. And he was in the vanguard of folks affiliated with Michigan that rose up and said, this is not right. And what's interesting? I respected him so much, I actually bought 25 copies of his books, and I've been giving it out to people because it's an important story. because Michigan is the winningest college football program in the country, and it was happening there. I was mentioning this to Wolf today. I was at a luncheon where he was the guest speaker in front of big money donors. He spoke, and he was very, very clear. And he basically said, there's a concept called the Michigan man. This kind of behavior does not support one for all for one. And when he got through, everybody in that audience got up and gave him a standing ovation. So I don't view this as criticism. I agree with Keith. This is a culture issue that has to be solved because you can't have success with this kind of behavior. You just can't.
Well, you're right, Frank. And I put you under. Listen, I don't want to say, hey, Dale did this, Dale, whatever, Wolfman. That's not what it's about. What it's about is just doing the right thing. And that's about doing the right thing again and being competent in your program, being competent in your stature. Well, what would happen, Frank, if the Band of Brothers, the book you just wrote about that everybody so much dearly loves, if they were standing out there? I mean, and nobody really talked to them. Not even now. Again, I'm going to leave it like this. It was probably just you were into the scrimmage. Okay, let's just put it. The coaches are into the scrimmage, trying to get the team better. At the same time, you look over there and you're a professional, you're an adult, and you say, hey, you know what? What's up, fellas? I see you, man. I appreciate you. You go right back to the scrimmage. There's nothing, at least as a head coach. So I'm actually very disappointed that Neil Brown did not do that. And to me, if you're just worried about the scrimmager, fine. Use it as an excuse. Use it as an oversight. But when I see a Hall of Fame head coach there, and I see those players there, I'm going to come over and I'm going to acknowledge you. And I'm sure I probably acknowledge you to the team, at least say to the team, hey, those are your older brothers over there. Just give them a what's up. A wave. I nod. A wink. I don't care. Say, hey, we'll do something instead of ignoring. And somebody, you can pass the buck on down the line all you want. Oh, well, I told this guy, that guy. Hey, Ren Baker, he came over and talked to you. So let's just go with the good stuff there. But again, it happens too many times. People nowadays getting too much dang money, and they're all worried about this and that. They're not worried about the important things. They're not worried about what actually brought something up. They're not worried about what's the successful formula. What's the right thing to do. This is how you treat it. This is why we have an alumni crew that, man, they will support our young brothers. They will support this football team. They will support, you know why? Because it's a mutual admiration. And right now, there's no mutual admiration going on. Yes, Keith.
Dale.
Yes.
Do you know that I can't say for the past three, but this year they did not let alumni on the field for the spring game. Now think about that for a minute. No alumni down on and you think about the guys that were there at Kegler's, Frank. No, maybe Frank, maybe you wasn't there. But we had Darryl Talley there, Brian. There must have been close to 30 guys.
Yeah, I was there.
And they did not allow. Was you there?
Yep. Yeah, I was there.
Okay. They did not allow those guys on the field because I was looking for Brian.
Yeah, Joe's was
and
there.
I texted. Yeah, I was going to let him take Zyler onto the field, and they had them up under the on the first level. Didn't even have them inside, but they did have the athletic club section open for the money people.
Well,
didn't even put them in the booth.
That's always going to be because remember, you got a rule on money, and not every alumni has money. That's for sure. Hey, Al, you got to go, right, brother?
Run. Yes. Hey, guys. Great seeing you guys. Hey,
You too, Al.
see you
Good
again.
job, Al.
Take
Good
care.
job,
Thank you.
fellas.
Take care.
You
All
too.
right,
Bye, Al.
all right. So that's Al Johnson, USA strength and conditioning coach, Hall of Fame, man. And I'll get you out of there, Al. There you go, buddy. Hey, I'll tell you what. That was our former strength coach. I mean, that was a dude, and he was the beginning of so much. A part of the reason why Don Nalen had success, just like Mike Joseph is a great success for what he does now as well. All right, so I'm done bashing. I will say it's a little bit of a pet peeve. I will say also kudos to Ren Baker for what he did, Doc, and that he went ahead and they got you guys in on the field. And I don't want to talk about the team and where they are because that's Neil Brown's job to do.
Well, let me say one more thing before you move on.
Yeah.
I will say, well, for me personally, so like I said, this wasn't the first time that I'd been in the stadium. So I know I'd been on a tour before, and I was able to go to talk to Coach Brown, probably on a couple of different occasions. So I don't want to, say that he's definitely is a person that's not allowing us to see him or whatever. But to your point, that didn't happen on Saturday.
Yep. And my point is that's uncool. All right, here we go. And let's see, we're moving on up. I think I crossed that T and dotted that I, Doc. I see you there, man. That's such a joy. So let's keep on moving here. I got some good stuff now, man. We're ready to start rolling, all right? So here we go. Oh, yeah, or I forgot this. Frank, we got to do this PSU, man. I totally forgot. I'm sorry. We got caught up on that. Here we go. This is good. All right, Frank, take over.
Well, we're going to talk about football on the field, which is great. I just asked myself a question. Okay, West Virginia is a 20.5 underdog at this point, going up to University Park to play Penn State. Teams have opening games, so I just went back into the history books and asked myself the question: well, how has Penn State done in opening games over the last 25 years, especially when they were playing against teams when they were heavily favored? And I guess I don't want to say I was surprised. Maybe some of you guys might be surprised. Our viewers might be surprised, but these aren't opinions. This is what really happened going back to 1997. And what I picked out there, you can see, are 4 games. And I'm going to talk, 5 games. And I'm going to talk about a 6th, where when you start diving into this, you go, well, there are cupcakes they're playing, but and these span over the last 25 years, going all the way back to 2000. Paterno was still there. Then you move up to 2012, and that was the first game that O'Brien coached against Ohio. And then you've got a curious team we put on the schedule. They weren't much 20 years ago, UCF. And there's a 6th game, as I mentioned, that also includes UCF. And so let me give you a tour of what happened at these games, starting with the 2000 game against Toledo. On guess what day? September 2nd, 2000. Toledo comes in and beats the hell out of Penn State. They're up 17-0 at half. Penn State only had 30 yards rushing, and I didn't remember this name. Maybe you guys did. Chester Taylor, who played for Toledo. He was a 5,000-yard rusher in college, went to the NFL, played for the Ravens, Vikings, Bears, and Cardinals, and he gained another 5,000 yards. Well, he ran all over Penn State for almost 150 yards, and Penn State only held the ball for 20 minutes. And the only time they scored was on a 62-yard pass play in the third quarter. And by that time, it was 24-0. Penn State, and I mentioned this last week, they started the 20th century with 3 out of 4 losing seasons. I think 2003 was the only winning season they had. They ended that year at 5-7. So they lost that game. Then they played UCF in 2002. Again, UCF wasn't much back then, right? Penn State wins by 3 points, and they had to recover an onside kick to preserve the game when UCF scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes of the game. Okay, they won that game, but barely. Then you go to 2012 against Ohio. Ohio, no, another MAC team. Well, I'll tell you what. One of the guys I never liked, not to bash, but a guy by the name of Steve Peterson. He was the AD for a while at Pitt. He went to Nebraska, fired Frank Solich. Great coach. Where did Frank Solich go? To Ohio for the rest of his career. So Penn State opens up against him in 2012. Penn State's up by 14-3 at the half. Ohio outscores them in the second half, 21-0. That's the first game in the O'Brien era, and they not only beat Penn State, get this, they scored on drives of 82, 82, 70, 93, and 93 yards.
Wow.
They had 500 yards. Penn State had 3 turnovers. And Tyler Tettleton, I'm sorry, that name did not ring a bell. He had a 55 quarterback rating, 79th in the country. He had 300 yards plus in the air. And Penn State ended the year at 8-4, but they lost that game. Okay? Then you go to 2014, and Penn State is playing UCF in Dublin. Okay? Heavy favorite. Final score, Penn State 26, Central Florida 24. Sam Fickens, remember him? Kicked a 36-yard field goal as time expired to win the game. UCF had 21 second-half points, and they were behind 24-23. Penn State was when Fickens lined up. Hackenberg was the quarterback. He had a good day, 450 yards, but he had to throw 50 passes to get him. Now, the game I remember is the 2018 against Appalachian State. Now, Appalachian State went into Michigan and I think catapulted Michigan into a nosedive starting in 2007. If I'm an athletic director, the last team I'm going to want to bring into my stadium is Appalachian State, right? They bring in Appalachian State, okay? Final score, 45-38, Penn State wins in overtime. It's 10-10 at the half. Appalachian State scores 28 points in the fourth, and they actually, I watched this game, they actually went ahead 38-31 with a minute and a half left. But Penn State answered with a touchdown in 42 seconds, then intercepted a pass in the end zone after they scored an OT to win the game. Penn State ended the year 9-4. And the other game that I wanted to bring up, it's not on there because it's not a opening game, is again against UCF in 2013, third game of the season. UCF goes into Penn State, beats the Lions 34-31 with, who was at quarterback? Zach Mills, I guess, was at quarterback.
Yeah.
PSU was up 10-9 at half, loses by 3. So the point is that Penn State has won a lot of opening games against teams that they were supposed to be. But you go through that, that's 6 games over the last 25 years that I think are notable. I'll stop there and see what reactions you guys have. Does that surprise you at all?
Yes and no. And I'm going to tell you why. Doc, what always happens when we went to Penn State? We started kicking their can. And what did they do at the end?
They came back. They came back and beat us. Yeah.
Always like that, man. It was always like that at Penn State. 87. I don't know what it was. I think 83, your freshman year, was the same way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
85. 87, we were up. 89, we were up. And blew it at the end.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Wolf. I mean, it you know, it's surprising some of those results, but you know, a lot of times what happens, especially in the victories, some of those schools, it's like as they say, the mystique of certain stadiums. They you know, they find a way to come back and win, but you know, we're hoping that obviously we go up there and we're in one of these statistics of the underdog won outright 6%. We're hoping that that becomes 14 games.
Now, you know, I was thinking too, if I'm on the coaching staff, I hope somebody on the staff, doesn't have to be a coaching staff, is sharing these data with the Mountaineers. That you just can't, oh my God, 94,000, 107,000, we have no chance, nobody wins there. Well, teams have won, and MAC teams have won, and UCF won there when it wasn't the UCF we know now. They were just getting their, you know, they're getting their stuff together. And you were talking, Gary, about this slide, and I did this. I'm not a bettor, but I said, okay, forget about Penn State. Let's just look at West Virginia and how teams do when they're underdogs. So Jimmy Boyd, who's a handicapper, looked at every game that was plus 20.5 since 2000, right? He did this for a whole bunch of lines, not just 20.5. 212 of those games were plus 20.5, the way that the Mountaineers are. And there were 98 games worth noting. So half of the games, roughly. The underdog lost but covered 40% of the time. And the underdog won outright at 6% of the time. The point here is, even with being a 20.5 dog, nearly half of the time, teams either lost but covered or won. Then I said, okay, let's look at West Virginia and how they do as an away team. And Team Rankings has the data since 2003, not just for WVU, but all teams. And what I found was, you can see the numbers there are pretty good. They're over 50%. Mountaineers won 54% of 100 away games since 2003 straight up. And it's ranked in the top 25. Ohio State is number one by a lot, 81%. They win 81% of the time when they're on the road, straight up. But the Mountaineers won 52% against the spread in those games. And again, if I'm an athletic director, I don't want to play James Madison at home. And Wolf, I don't want to play Jacksonville State at home because those two teams are tied on the road 64%. They win against the spread 64% of the time. That's monumental for a football championship team. And then West Virginia also wins 52% when they're against the spread dog. Again, I don't want to play Liberty if I'm an athletic director. They win on the road when they're a dog 76% of the time. But that's pretty good. When you look at West Virginia from different angles, when they're on the road, whether straight up or against the spread, they're doing fairly well. So I would look at these data and I would say, look, guys, yeah, you really do have a chance, not just on an emotional side, but with data. The data say you've got a chance here. Go out, play with determination, play physically. You got this. May not win, but they want you. You leave them where they know they played a really tough team.
All right, excellent. Now listen, the reason why I'm doing this, hey Hawkeye, that's not perception. All right, those are facts right there.
That's the real deal right there, Frank.
All right, Doc, what do you think, man? You got this is what. Let's get down to it. We got the facts, got all that in there. Great knowledge, Frank. Great research. My gosh, man. Well, listen, you go in there now. You're talking about bulletin board crap in the locker room. All you're doing is talking bulletin board, and you're saying, "Hey, listen, guys. Everyone thinks you suck. Everyone thinks you suck. All right. You got the few people around here that say, "Hey, guess what? You're gonna win. You got all this and that." But you know what? Everyone else thinks you suck. All right, what are you going to do to get there? How are you going to get them motivated to go in there?
Well, I don't know about the players nowadays. So maybe, everything's data driven now and stat related. So this is probably more up their alley to have this kind of information than when we were playing, the Coach Nealon or whomever would just, pump us up by the words they would say and geek us up during the practice week. But those numbers, the numbers are the numbers, as they say. And, we have just as much of opportunity to win as some of those other schools that were depicted in those charts. So I think that's, good information for Coach Brown to provide to the team and let them know that, we have a chance.
Yep.
That's all. And that's all you can ask for. I mean, if it gets late in the game and you're close, they have the pressure on them. We wouldn't have any pressure on us at all.
No, you're right about that. DP, you go to Garrett Green and say, hey, you know what? Everybody thinks you're the worst quarterback in the Big 12.
Like Gary said, like this group, he might say, okay, I'm transferring. You know what I mean?
I'm going in the portal.
I'm gonna go in the portal. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't. These guys are so sensitive, man. It's like you can't say anything to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's so funny. I was coaching 8th grade AAU this year, I said, if he's open, you throw it to him. If he's not, you dribble at him. So he didn't do what I asked him to do. So I said it again. And the kid started tearing up. I said, what's wrong? I'm like, why are you getting so emotional? I don't understand. I just say, if he's open, you throw it to him. If he's not, just dribble at him. You know what I mean? That's all I said. Wasn't yelling, didn't raise my voice. You know what I mean? Like, golly. It's like, it's like, it's just, these guys are so sensitive, and they're sensitive about the wrong stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they're not even sensitive about the sport. They're just sensitive. You know what I mean? And, you got it. But you still got to have your standards. And if these guys have your standards, you got to let them go.
I hear you.
Let them.
All right.
Yeah. Like now, I think, with Neil Brown, he's going with the guy who helped him try to save his job. But, I don't think it's going to save it either way.
Okay. There you go. That's
Can I just add one more thing, if just for a second here?
Yeah.
Well, one of the Band of Brothers, Rob Podbisek, sent me an article from Penn State that their people have been reading, just published, and there are a couple of things I think there that, again, I think are reasons for hope. They've got a 5-star quarterback who's looks to be a good passer. He's obviously going to be starting for the first time, but he's slow. And so the Penn State people are saying quarterback running is a weakness. The other thing is they've lost to the NFL in graduation a number of the really good number of their good receivers. And so they're breaking in 2 new receivers, frontliners. One from Kent State. Half the team must have left Kent, Ohio. Anyways, one from Kent State, the other from Florida, I think. That's right. And so that's a weakness too. Plus their kicking game. Their new punter is transferred from Colgate, and they didn't mention who their place kicker is going to be. So you got some weaknesses there. They've got a good O-line, good offensive line, and some good running backs. And they said they've got some really good linebackers that pressure the quarterback. So it's always even, Steven. You got weaknesses, you got strengths. But I think with the data and also with the lay of the land at Penn State, you go into that game and saying we're going to give them a fight. And hell, everything we've been talking about today, if they win that game, it turns on a dime. It's positive.
All right. Very good. So, Mike, you bring the facts. I can't argue with your facts, brother. That's what I like. We're not perception, Hawkeye. And I'm going to tell you this, though, is, just like DP said, we're going to, before last question, we're going to talk about the transfer portal with basketball. And DP sent me all this information. But I'm going to tell you this, man, is with all that information Frank just said, all right, and the things and the weaknesses that they have, and he said that he hopes that someone's giving Neil Brown all this information. I don't think they're going to be giving from our show anymore. Not after the alumni segment. All right. But hang on. I got a question for you. All right. Now, you sit there and tell these guys, if it's you, you sit there and say, listen, you guys, they all think you suck. They all do. And you got to go ahead and you got to go out and fight this, fight that, do this, do that. But what happens? What happens when you have all that anger? All that, and Gary, you can talk about this, Doc. You can talk about this as well. You have all that anger, all that emotion, and then you go out there and some big, strong dude from the other team punches you right in the mouth. All right?
Yeah, everyone has, as they say, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Exactly. I mean, you got all this going on, and you're fired up, and you called me. Well, I told me that I suck, and I'm the 14th worst. And all of a sudden, a dude that you haven't ever hit before hits you, and everything goes out the window. Your emotion gets flushed, and then you got to fall and rely on what?
Skill.
Your heart.
Yeah.
Your this thing right here.
The big red pumper, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Wolf,
This
the
thing right here.
reality is, though, the first game is just that, the first game. You don't know, like you mentioned about their quarterback, like you don't know how anyone is going to perform in the first game, bright lights. I mean, you can do whatever in practice, but until you run out there, it's your first game in front of all those fans. You don't know the effects of that for, and you're expected to do well. There's no saying what can happen in that first game, and that's why. It's always hard to predict that first game until you have some data of somebody actually playing in a live game.
Right.
All right. What do you say there, Hawkeye?
Well, it's the first game of the season. You know, there's a lot of hype to this game. You're a 21-point underdog. You know, as a coach, you look at them and say, you know, you can go out and prove everybody right, or you can go out and prove them wrong. Now, we may not win the game, but are we really 21-point underdogs to this team? You know, once they start playing and settle in,
I would never say that to the team.
Who said no?
Yeah, I would.
They would say no.
I don't know if we. I don't know if we are or not, but I would never say that to the team.
You wouldn't say that they were underdogs?
I wouldn't tell them 21 points. I wouldn't worry about the points, because if you lose by 10, they'd be like, "Oh, we better than that." You know what I mean? I wouldn't give them that number.
Hey, we don't.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
We lost by last. We covered.
Yeah. I would, yeah.
Well, you know, though, guys, it goes down to this, and we've all been there. You're never as bad as they say you are, but you're never as good as you think you are.
Well, just like Gary said, it's how you compete. And that's what Gary was saying. It's like, if we compete and we lose, say 10, 15 points, but we play hard, just some things happen here and there, I'm okay with that. You know, I heard Dale saying sometime last year that guys just did not compete. You know what I mean? So if you don't compete, that's where the 21 points and above are going to come in. But if you compete, the game is going to be a little less. You know, you might win. It might be a close game. You might lose close. But if you compete and then you just a mistake here and there, that's part of the game. I'll take that, you know, as long as it doesn't, you know, dribble until next week. You know, then there's the same thing next week, and the next week after that, and next week after that. But they come in prepared. They're competing. They're playing hard. You know, if it was just a play or two here and there, I get it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But if they're not competing, Dale, in the third quarter, we got guys laying down. We're down 48-0. Do we start yanking guys then?
Then somebody up top got to go.
Yeah.
They're not playing for them.
Yeah, Coach Dan always told us head down and just keep slugging 80 slugs until the game is over, then see what the outcome is.
But then it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. You know, we talked about, do you believe we in last place, or do we believe, you know, we in, you know, a 14th place team in the Big 12? You do if you think it's okay. You do if you lay down, you think it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's not okay. You know, we almost had to fight guys that we lost games in a bus laughing. Ain't no time to laugh. You got to figure this thing out. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't want guys around me that's okay with losing. I don't care, you know, if we play hard or not, but, you know, guys, you know, if guys playing hard, they care. If the guys don't care, that's something, you know, that the coaches got to deal with. They got to figure that out quickly.
All right.
You can't get comfortable losing.
You're getting called out here. Like Rollins is saying, you guys, you sound like Penn State fans. You got to believe, guys.
I don't think we're saying we're fans.
Right.
I don't think we're saying that we think Penn State going to win. We, you know, somebody brought up 20-point underdogs. How you talk to a team? I just said I wouldn't tell them. You know what I mean? Let's see. You know, I've said compete. How the guys compete? You know, if the guys don't compete, I don't care who we playing against. We playing against like Frank said, Appalachian State, James Madison, because they're going to compete.
Right.
Because they playing for something. If you're not playing for something, then you know you can't compete for your coach. You can't compete for your guys that's beside you, then, you know, you're in the wrong school.
Yeah.
Well, DP, you probably won't have to say 21 points because they should know. It'll be everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, they'll know.
Well, I've got to know. Let me ask you this, all right? And before I get into this last question is, I believe in any sport, and it includes basketball, DP, in any sport, you can tell someone who's giving an all-out effort and when somebody is not giving all-out effort, especially if you're a coach, all right? And I think that it's very easy to tell someone's characteristics and know when they're up, know when they're down, know when they just got punched in the gut, they're trying to get their air back and come back, know when they're not getting up off the ground, know when to get them off the field. You know all these things as a coach, all right? But what I'm saying here is this. The reality of the situation is Penn State is in a top-loaded position, right? Top-loaded. When you talk about, you've got a 5-star quarterback, they say he's slow. He's all right. He's not great in the pocket, and he's young. But he's got an arm that's a cannon that I haven't seen very few. Like, I'll just go with that. All right. Offensive line, pretty good. He's got 2 tight ends that are going to go ahead in the NFL draft this season. All right. He's got a defensive line. He's got linebackers. He's got the number 1 cornerback in the country at Penn State. All right. And when you put all that together, and you're going to see your team, when you talk about competing, Doc. So, again, I just said it all. Coaches know when you're playing your top. Coaches know where you are. They know where you are because your play tells you everything. All right? And Penn State, no matter what position they're in, all right, there's up by 25, up by 5, down by 15. Well, whatever it is, all right, these coaches are going to know who this team is after this game. Because when you can go ahead and play, and if you can go ahead and you say cover or compete, you know that these guys are competing, and that's when you get excited, and that's when you start building a team off of a loss. Not a bad loss, but a loss that you could – I'm not going to call it good loss because somebody's going to say, no loss is good. All right, I hear you. But you can build things off of a loss. And when you're the team captain, when you're the team coach, you can do those things when you're a team player. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're 100% right. And, I hate to be like the old man, get off my lawn, but, back in our days, with Pitt and Penn State and, all those schools, I mean, we took it as a challenge to play those teams. We may have had the 5-star guys or 4-star guys, but we had guys that were hungry, and we were trying to, get the program to be thought of as some of those schools. And so, I think obviously part of it is the coaching staff and obviously get people ready to play. But part of it too is just your band of brothers. I know, like I was with like Darryl Talley and Dennis Folks over the summer, and they were kind of talking about the Oklahoma game and how, Darryl was having a so-so game early on, and Dennis was in his face saying, you got to come better than that. And so, so a lot of it is just, your teammates getting you riled up and having the expectations that you need to meet them. So, obviously Coach Brown and the staff has something to do with it, but, sometimes I wonder if the players, if they don't rally around each other, because that's definitely part of it too.
That's what's got to be.
Yeah. That's great. Mike Rounds is thinking where he's on a chat thinking we're talking negative about West Virginia. We're not. This is no. Like we're talking about the truth. We're trying to figure things out too. But we're always rooting for West Virginia. That's not the case. You know what I mean? It's just nobody commented on how they treated us, the alumni. But that's another story. But when it comes to this, it's like coaching points that you asked, Dale. And that's what we said. So we said that I wouldn't talk about the 20-point underdog. I'll talk about how they think they're better than us. Same thing, we go into Western Kentucky playing the NCAA playoff. Yeah. Oh, man, they this, they that, they this, they that. I say, okay, I'm going to show them I'm this and that, and I'm this and that. And just like with just what Gary said, that's what you do. If Darryl Talley ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing, you get in Darryl Talley's face. And I've heard conversations in the past that those guys wasn't doing that. So if they're not doing that, somebody has to do it. Don't always have to be the coach.
Hey, let me just say this. For everybody out there, last year's team didn't suck because they were good. Okay? They didn't suck because they were good. They sucked because they sucked. And that's what you're looking at, okay? So let's get real here. All right? You want to talk about positivity? All right. Show us some positivity at Penn State. I actually know what it's like to go into Penn State and play. There are huge obstacles. Doc Basil knows what it's like. So when he's giving you his opinions, he understands that there's 107,000 screaming dudes, and you can't hear the quarterback. Okay? You can't hear. You got things going flying. You got dudes that are studs, that are men. These are all seniors and defense. All right? And so when they get there and they punch you, what did the doc just say? Everything's great until you get punched in the freaking mouth, until you get drilled, until all plans go out the window. So what I'm bringing this panel on here for, and you guys say that we're talking like we're not fit. No, we've been punched in the mouth and understand what it's like to fight and go ahead. Like, and you may have too, everybody. And that's great. But you know what? These are just educated thoughts that are going on because of what we saw from last year. Because team sucked last year. That's why they had a losing record. And they won the last 2 games against 2 teams that didn't want to be there that sucked. Okay, so again, if you really want to tell the truth on the WolfMan's call, if you really want to understand, okay, the team stunk. All right, and we want better for them.
Yeah.
And we want them to
like
be better.
We
We
did 4 or 5.
better. Why do you think Neil Brown's talking about physicality this year? Because they were physical last year? No, because he's talking physicality this year because they weren't physical last year. Why is he talking about alignment this year? Because they didn't align right last year. These are all things that he's talking about address, and I love it. But let's not go on. Why do you guys think that they are in trouble against the team that went 11-2 last year? That's returning their defense.
Top 5 team in the country, arguably probably one of the best running backs in the country. West Virginia's got their hands full.
Hey,
I'm not rooting against West
guys.
Virginia.
I'm fired up, but that's just who we are. But that's you want to get the blood going. Is like that's what we're talking about. So, Mike, don't take it personally. This is all good chatter. But again, that's why we're basing it off this. I didn't sit there and break down an Oklahoma State game. It was like, wow, man, that was we got screwed last year with our record. You know, it was not a good outing, and that's why you see Neil Brown addressing all of that. And he's got more things to answer for too. I'm going to tell you that because he's got some dudes there that I want to see something different. Frank, I'm going to give you a shot here, man. You're quiet. Go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it's demand better. I mean, I don't know any organization I've ever been affiliated with where it doesn't make any difference where you are. You always demand better. You want to perform, and I think DP's right there. You know, it always doesn't come from management. It comes from the employees, your peers. You help each other to be successful. And, you know, what I hear you saying, Wolf, my interpretation is their expectations for performance and the actual performance is falling short. And so going to Penn State is a great opportunity against a great team. And that's why you suit up. What do? You don't suit up to play Waynesburg. You suit up to play Penn State. So you go after it.
I think everyone's going to know exactly who this team is watching Penn State game, win or loss. They're going to know. And I'm hoping that you see some real stuff to build on because I can remember going to the CardQuest Bowl in 1994 as a coach at WVU, and we started off at 1-4. Well, we were 0-4, I think. Maybe 1. We wanted to have a cherry picker in the beginning. We were 1-4, ended up finishing strong. You know, I can remember starting off at 87 with Major Harris, a redshirt freshman quarterback. Let's go, Doc. Go ahead. Tell us about what happened in that season.
I don't remember all the specifics because, you know, I'm old now, but we definitely struggled. And then, you know, as Major, you know, became more comfortable, it's kind of like we're saying, like, to a certain degree, like this quarterback for Penn State. I mean, when Major started out, you know, it was rocky. And, you know, not everybody remembers the early days of Mage. And then, you know, as the season progressed, he got better and better. And, you know, we ended up going to the Sun Bowl and, you know, playing a tough Oklahoma State team with Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders.
In fact, and Mike Gundy, who was a very average quarterback, by the way, very head coach at Oklahoma State and quarterback. But I'm also going to say this. We went to the Sun Bowl because of Major Harris. Because
100%.
We were what, 6-5, and we just lost to Syracuse, but we took Syracuse to the very edge. And they were 11-1 at the time. I can't remember. No, they were undefeated, right? I can't remember. Something like that. They went to the Sugar Bowl that year and played LSU, tied them a 13-13 game. But regardless, that because of Major Harris, and then it takes growth. So we understand what growth is, and we also understand where starting out is. And until you've been through the fire, and no one last year, to me, really went through the fire. Okay, the fire of going ahead. They were at fire when they went against Kansas, and Kansas put 55 on them. Okay, there's a difference. There's getting through the fire, man, is getting up and fighting like the devil. Now, I will tell you, Oklahoma State, I thought that they were playing tough for Neil Brown. I said it then, I said my breakdown. I'll say they did not quit at 3-6. They did not quit at 5 and they were 5 and 4 and 7, right? 4 and 7. That's where they were going in Oklahoma State game. It was a cold, crappy, rainy day. There was 20,000 fans in the seats at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State didn't want to be there. Spencer Sanders didn't want to be there, but the Mountaineers did. And they won with Garrett Green in the first half and Nico coming in the second half and winning. With Jalen Anderson scores, all that, and a defense that played hard. But again, I showed you what the reasons why they weren't successful in all of that. So again, gentlemen, I'm going to give you guys the last word, and here it is. Doc, you're the first one up. I really appreciate you coming on here, man, and telling us your thoughts. This season going in, how can West Virginia be successful in your eyes? Your eyes, be successful. I'm not even saying that Neil Brown keeps his job. I'm talking about a team that's going to show improvement.
Well, you hit it on the head. I mean, we got to show improvement. I mean, each day you get better. I mean, that's the formula for winning is, every day you get better and, learn from your mistakes and, hold each one accountable, your brothers on the team. And, as much as the coaches have authorities on doing things, it's in your hands. It's your team. You're the one that's where the record's going to be at the end of the season. So it's just putting your fight in.
Yep. No doubt. Frank, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to come at it from a little different angle. This football team isn't just playing for themselves. Well, no football team ever does. But when schools go through rocky times, I went through it at Michigan State with the Nassar scandal. And I can tell you, when football season came around, basketball season came around, winning was really important because the students, the faculty, the fan base, the alums wanted to cheer for something. They wanted to basically get that we feeling. So when the Mountaineers and what's been going on with the Huggins situation, a financial situation, the Lions situation before that, when that team takes the field this season, they're playing for more. It's more than football. It's more than football. It's for pride in your school. It's giving people something to feel good about. And boy, do we need that.
Woo! I'll tell you what, talk about feeling good, man. I need to feel better. And now I'm going to call on Darryl Prue. I don't know why, because I don't think he's going to make me feel better. Go ahead, DP.
I'm the same way. In this area, we got all these different people from different schools. And, all of a sudden, I get a call from a Maryland fan. Oh, we beat y'all. You know what I mean? Or you been saying, I didn't hear that before when we used to beat y'all all the time. So, like, now, you know what I mean? Like, that's the pride. We older now, so it's just like, the pride, that's the pride thing. It's like, we want them to win, but if we give our opinions on the games, we have, even the basketball season, we had our opinions, and our opinions may be wrong and may be right, but it's our opinion. It doesn't mean we want the team to lose. We don't, somebody said on here, we want to build momentum. We can't build momentum. The fans can't build momentum. It's the guys. It's how they play. How they play in the first game, like Gary said and Frank. If they play hard and they're competitive and there's a good game all the way through and there's some mistakes here and there, I'll take the mistakes. That's part of the game. But they playing hard all the way through. They showing grit. Sometimes, sometimes like when teams play Alabama, they just can't stop them because that's who they are. Because Alabama is physically more dominant than most everybody else in college football, except for probably Georgia and LSU. So, if they're that, then there's some things we need to, work on in recruiting. But, we got to go out there, compete. I didn't watch. I only saw a few games last year. To me, offense looked bland. Defense couldn't stop nobody. They was only throwing to the one wide receiver and whatever running game they had. And I listened to you. And your thing was they're not punching nobody in the mouth. They're getting punched in the mouth, and they're not fighting back. So that's what we got to see. They got to punch somebody in the mouth. When they get punched in the mouth, fight back.
Bingo. Wow. All right, Hawkeye, I'm telling you what, you started out really slow. All right. And you got really good. And I want to see if you can get icing on and put it on the cake and some dessert here. Because, this whole answer is going to determine where you grade out the show.
Well, you saved the best for last.
I didn't say that.
Well, I did. That's my perception.
Go ahead.
All right. WVU is exactly where it should be right now because they've earned that spot at the bottom. We have to see improvement every week. If we have to make changes at the quarterback, at the linebacker, we have to make those changes.
That's right.
The past is built. The past is our future if we don't change it. We have got to play. We've got to be a physical football team. We've got to be a smart football team. Our coaching staff has got to do a better job in preparation and putting players in positions where they can perform at their best. But right now, West Virginia is at the bottom. There's only one way to go, and that's up. But it's up to them. It's up to the players. Do they rally around one another? Do they lean on each other? Do they call each other out? It's all on them, guys. We can sit here and talk about it, and the fans think we're being negative. At the end of the day, we don't have no bearing on the game. It's up to the guys with the helmets on.
No, that's not true because I have a lot of bearing because I get in people's minds.
That's true.
That's why I need to be a Penn State. I need to be over on the other side.
Dale is the cerebral assassin. I forgot.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, listen, God bless you. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to tell you this, man. It's all about this. It's about improvement. You can't change the future if you don't know your past. So if you don't learn from the mistakes of your past, and in this case with football, with this team, it's about being soft. It's about not playing smart. It's about not knowing where to line up. It's about not striking, not punching. It's about catching, and it's about not dropping passes. It's about doing the right things. Discipline, okay? It's about not jumping off sides because you have discipline in yourself and your team and that group. That specific group has discipline. All right, all those things need to improve for me to sit there and see an improvement from there. All right, again, if you don't know where you came from, and I showed it to you at the Oklahoma game, Oklahoma State, and what was wrong, then you don't know how to change the future. So that's why you don't dwell in the past, but you learn from the past, okay? That's when you go ahead and you study. And the game day, you don't worry about the last play. You go ahead and you play the next play. All right, and you keep it together. Two different scenarios. All right, you go ahead. If you get done with the series and the coach wants to go over with you, that's fine too. You got to reflect upon that. But you're not there to be thinking about the last play, because the next play was the one that will beat you. All right, so very good, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Hey, Gary Basil, Doc. All right, you got the Hawkeye, Keith Hawkins. You got DP, Darryl Prue, and of course the Frank Fearower. All right, gentlemen, have a great day, man.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Good going.
All right, fellas.
There you go, brothers. All right. God bless them. I love them all. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that doggone alumni segment, but I don't care. I'm very passionate about it, and it's the truth. If you don't take care of those who have come before, it doesn't say much about you or your program, in my opinion. And I'm going to say this as far as the good spirit. The great thing about the WolfMan's College, you can view your points down here, and no one's going to bust your chops, really, unless it's really that bad, I guess. But I think we do it in a good-natured way. But go ahead. It's okay. Nobody's stepping on anybody's toes. Nobody's doing nothing. It's just a good-spirited talk. And that's what it's all about with the WolfMan's Call. And that's why it's going to continue to stay with the WolfMan's Call. And it's all right. So, very good. Let's go ahead and let's talk here about the Pallet and what's going on here. So, we'll jump on this right here. Yep. Pre-game show right there, man. September 2nd. It starts at 5. I think they're going to be open all day long, but at 5 o'clock, the show's going to start. We're going to broadcast at 6 o'clock, and we're going to go until 7, 7:10, whatever it is. All right, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to do a pregame. We're going to do it with film breakdown. Penn State film breakdown, legit. And because what I do is I show you exactly what I'm talking about. I don't sit here and say, I think this and that, and you got to take my word. No, I show it to you, and you get to judge on it. And if you think I'm wrong, it's okay. It's cool. But we're going to be at the Pallet, man, live on air, 6 o'clock. It's a one-time gig, man. We got to tell you this, too, and the network here. Let's go to the network. Oh, my favorite thing. I love the food, man. I love the food right here and all that comes with the network. I love these people for joining the network as well. And we're going to go ahead and put this up. And let's go ahead. Let's just talk about it real quick. I think it's so important to go ahead and talk about Archies. East Carson Street up there in enemy territory. Hey, talk is pit. You said you were going to go. You better have gone. Check out the wings there. It's a great time. Just everyone, family stopped by from the Steelers game on Saturday there. Thought the place was amazing. Good job. Archies, East Carson Street, Pittsburgh, PA, the heart of the evil empire. And then you got to go up to Route 22 Sports Bar. Oh, man. You got 12 50-inch TVs put together, man. That must look really wide on that. I hope they don't have me up there on that because they have so many other TVs. They have so much going on. They have the bottoms-up draft system. Just fantastic. Route 22, Weirton, West Virginia. It's right out there on your way traveling when you're going out to the old outdoor singing place. Drawing a blank right now. All right, head down to Beckley. And Jeff Weeks down there and Calacino's Pizzeria and Sports Bar. Boy, I tell you, they had a lot going on this weekend. See them on the internet. A lot of things going on at Calacino's in Beckley. Definitely huge WVU supporters down there. And totally, I've been there a few times. Really like the place. Okay, so we thank them as well. And how about this? Cantrell's River City Grill. Now, they text me back saying, hey, we are going to show the pregame there at Cantrell's at 6 to 7. And they said, if you buy a pint, they're going to give you the next one free. That's right. Cantrell's there at Hinton, West Virginia. Shout out down there, Mitchell. There you go, buddy. And then we got Aaron Gizzy there, Legend Sports Bar and Grille. Out there at the Lakes, man. You got to love it, Lakeview. And out there in Cheat Lake. And then you go back down south. The way this thing's set up, you got the Danny's Sports Bar down there in Princeton, West Virginia. Wow, way down there. Paige, what's up? Love it. And then you got royalty, man. Kegler's right there. You got the Ren's family. You got Dougie Moore. Oh, my gosh, the food. They got the WolfMan's burger, baby. Yeah, that's good. Make sure, Kegler's, you check it out. And we love them being part of their Morgantown royalty. Mason Jar Saloon, Steve Reese. Yeah, thank you, man. The barbecue, absolutely fantastic. You got to place the Mason Jar Saloon and Hotspot right there in Morgantown, right past the Morgantown Mall up on Fairmont Road. And then you got to head to Fairmont itself and go to the Mason Jar Barbecue and more. And when he says unbutton those britches, he absolutely means it. Well, how about this? We got to go to Jimbo's because Jimbo's times 2. What's up, Jimmy? What's up, gang there? Boy, I love going out there and help them open up the Jimbo's place in Buckhannon and the Jimbo's place in Elkins. So good, you had to do 2. Very good. And they got the Pallet. That's where we're going from. The Pallet Bar down in Scott Depot, Teays Valley Road. I keep saying I call it Teays Valley. I guess it's Scott Depot. We're going to be there. Be there for the pregame. It's going to be fun. You can watch it there. Where else can you watch it? You can watch it on the network, man. Watch it on the network or the voice of college football, West Virginia. And then, of course, we got Mountaineer Tap House. Mel, you got to get the closed caption going on there, girl. I know you're awesome, man. It's cool. We support you. Take care of Mel there at the Mountaineer Tap House. She's absolutely amazing. And then you got to go ahead to the Pitch in Dunbar, West Virginia, and go there. And Chef Paul, and we love that. And then the Rob Davis. Not last and least for sure, because Brickside Bar and Grill. All right, that is amazing. I love the network. I love it all. Is there anyone that has anything else to say? It's very good. Love the network, man. And I would say, Buckhannon, I said, good show. Yeah, man, that's cool. Very cool. Because you know why? Hey, Kenny, you said you want to tune in for the show? You should, man, because we're breaking down Penn State. And we also got to say we got a new sponsor besides Parmar Stores, right? Besides Northern Eagle Distributing. Now we got the Planks, or the Plank. Listen to me. Sorry, Mark. We got the Plants Law Firm and Kevin Davis Law Firm that we're going to go ahead. We're going to do the Friday show. We're adding a show. We have Monday to Thursday. It's WolfMan's Call, and it's everything we do here. But also on Friday, guess what it is, man? It's Break Down the Opponent on film. You tell me anyone else that's going to do that, that's not going to happen, or at least it won't be good. All right, so we got that going on. Mark Plants, Kevin Davis, man. Love it because they're so sponsors of that, and we're going to be bringing Plancy, former fullback, man. See, Mountaineer brothers supporting each other, man, all the time. And with all that being said, I think I covered it all. Golly, if I not covered it all, is there anyone that wants anything else? I hope not. Closing commercials, I think. Here we go. Great show, Wolfman. Thank you, brother. Anyone? Mike Rollins, yes. Robert Pop Bessick, yes. Pod, if something's going on with your audio, man, check it out. Let me see if I can help you, brother, all right? God bless you all the Mountaineer brothers, man. I love you. When I got Doc Basil coming on here, man, it just fires me up. First timer. Well, we're going to just keep bringing more and more Mountaineers to come on. Smart Mountaineers, by the way, too. I'm not going to sit there. Well, we don't have any dumb Mountaineers. But I'm going to bring Mountaineer brothers that know what's going on, and they'll give you really, really good insight because they know. And that's why you need to watch the WolfMan's Call, because these guys know. It's not about me only. God bless you all. Have a great day. How about a little bit of Zach Frazier?
Hi, I'm Zach Frazier from Fairmont, and when I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Northern Eagle Distributing, proudly serving Anheuser-Busch products to West Virginia. Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia, always in stock. How many? The anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery, as easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.
West Virginia United.